The Clinic, Origin. Prologue. In the subterranean silence of Black Site 53, Delilah Kyra stood in the humming dark of the control chamber, a place built for observation, not comfort. Concrete walls closed in like the inside of a tomb, thick with the quiet confidence of secrecy, their surfaces etched with faint spirals, subtle, almost subliminal, a signature of the clinic's work. Overhead, LED panels glowed a sterile blue, casting jagged shadows across rows of biometric scanners, chemical analyzers, and flickering monitors. The air carried a sharp chemical tang, a mix of antiseptic and ozone, as if the room itself were alive, breathing precision. This was the heart of the clinic, not a hospital, not a sanctuary, but a crucible where minds were forged into tools. Every screen told a story, neural maps pulsed with jagged peaks of synaptic activity. Genetic drift projections spiraled in real time, predicting behavioral outcomes. Across one massive wall display, dozens of security feeds rotated in silence, patient cells with their blank-faced occupants. Staff corridors where technicians moved like ghosts, and empty operating theaters lit like museum exhibits, their steel tables gleaming under harsh light. Delilah's gaze lingered on the feeds, her reflection a faint ghost in the glass. A woman in her late 40s, raven hair pulled tight, eyes sharp as scalpels, her tailored suit a stark contrast to the room's cold utility. But tonight, she watched only one feed, Elias Voss. He sat hunched in a dingy Toronto apartment, his desk bathed in the jaundiced light of a weak bulb. He looked like a ghost of himself, beard half-grown, clothes slept in, eyes heavy with memory. A worn file lay open before him, its pages dog-eared, smudged with fingerprints, Janie Rourke's name in bold. Delilah knew the shape of his mind too well to be fooled by decay. Beneath that crumbling surface, Voss was circling again, drawn back to the spiral he'd tried to escape. The file in his hand confirmed it. She remembered the moment she brought him in, 6 years ago, in a sleek office masquerading as Vortex Dynamics, the clinic's public arm, a supposed mental health nonprofit promising healing through innovation. Elias had been young, brilliant, morally flexible, his eyes alight with ambition as she pitched the Delta trials. "We don't cure the broken, Dr. Voss," she'd said, her voice electric, leaning across a polished desk. "We evolve them. Criminals, soldiers, the lost, society discards them. We make them purposeful." He'd signed on, hungry to reshape chaos, blind to the cost. But Voss had mistaken empathy for insight, weakness for principle. When the spiral began working, when subjects like Dorian Hale became programmable, he lost his stomach for what came next. He called her methods coercion, torture. Delilah had never claimed to heal people. She created new ones. Her own transformation had come decades earlier, in a different clinic facility, before Black Site 53. A memory flickered, unbidden, a younger Delilah, broken by loss, her brother dead in a war no one won, his mind shattered by trauma before a bullet took him. The clinic had found her, a grieving psychologist, and offered purpose, control over chaos, order over pain. They'd rewired her, not with implants but with conviction, teaching her that freedom was a lie, that minds needed structure. Now she was their architect, her pain forged into a blade. She pushed the memory down, her jaw tightening. Sentiment was a flaw she'd eradicated. Voss had turned whistleblower, made wild accusations in court, waving ethics like a flag in front of fools. And they'd believed him. The clinic shuttered Vortex Dynamics' public offices, erased records, vanished into shadow. Advisors urged her to eliminate the problem. Terminate Voss quietly. She refused. Not out of sentiment. You don't destroy useful anomalies, you study them. Voss was a variable, a test of the spiral's pull. His return now, clutching Janie's file, was proof it never let go. She turned to another monitor. Dorian Hale, subject 92nd, sat upright in his cell, eyes open, blank as polished stone. His brainwaves scrolled across the screen in a hypnotic rhythm, a perfect sine wave of compliance. His pulse was a metronome, steady at 62 beats per minute. No anxiety spikes, no emotional variance. A subdermal implant pulsed faintly at his wrist, its green glow synced to the spiral patterns fed through his optic nerve. Spiral compliance, 98% success rate. Aggression trigger, fully operational. Hale wasn't a man anymore. He was a function, a response, a sequence refined through pain, chemical triggers, and neural rewiring. Unlike early subjects, he didn't relapse. He accepted commands without resistance, navigated social simulations with chilling precision, post-guilt, post-fear. The clinic had spent years chasing the formula, decades of failed subjects, fractured minds, bodies discarded in unmarked graves. Hale was the breakthrough, the key to Phase 3, a global network of operatives, triggered by a single signal, reshaping society from its shadows. Delilah leaned forward, her breath fogging the screen. "You are the answer they never had the courage to ask for," she whispered. A sharp ping broke the silence. Archive access detected. Level 1 breach. Her fingers flew across the console, nails clicking on glass. Not a standard intrusion. No brute force, no firewall alerts. The path was too clean, surgical. She traced the digital footprints through a dozen layered proxies, her pulse steady but quickening. A name flashed, Salvo, Jack Salvo. The hacker, a flicker of recognition. 3 years ago she'd been a blip, noise tied to a recruitment case. Lila Salvo, subject S-7, an early Delta failure. Jax had been dismissed as a grieving sister, no threat. Now she was inside, decrypting visual logs from the Delta trials, Hale's sessions, spiral diagrams, patient reports still bearing the Vortex Dynamics logo. Delilah's lips curved, not a smile but a calculation. "Curiosity," she murmured, "the first symptom of infection." She pulled up Hale's cell feed again. He remained motionless, breathing barely perceptible. The implant screen pulsed steady. She keyed a silent activation sequence, a pre-routine, subtle, preparing him for deployment. Her eyes flicked to Voss's feed. He was still reading Janie's file, lips mouthing a name. Hers? Hale's? The dead girl's? It didn't matter. The spiral always pulled them back. Delilah stepped back, arms folded, her breath measured. The control chamber hummed, servers vibrating with data, the air thick with the clinic's ambition. Vortex Dynamics still operated in the open. Clinics in Berlin, Tokyo, Sao Paulo, masquerading as rehab centers, funneling subjects to Black Site 53. A bribed counselor in Toronto buried complaints, his signature on transfer orders a quiet betrayal. Phase 3 was close, global hubs, synchronized operatives, a new order. Exposure didn't scare her, inefficiency did. The spiral needed space, interference would be eliminated. Voss, Jax, the file. They were variables, but the clinic was the constant. Evolution wasn't a matter of time, it was a matter of force. And the spiral always returned to its center,